Kick it.
Hi, my name is Ed Griswold. I'm with the Stream Breeze. And today what I want to talk to you about is probably the most common phone call I get dealing with either a Stream Breeze system or really any other live video switcher out there. And what that is, they'll call me and say that they can't see their cameras in the interface or on the input. And 99.9% of the time, it's because of settings. They simply have the wrong settings selected. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an input here and go to my camera inputs. And here in this drop down, I'm going to choose an input. I'm going to choose number 2. That's usually the first thing we do, is number 2 input. Choose a selected input the camera's coming in on. The next thing is the type of input. How is it connected? Is it a composite for standard depth or S-video or component? Is it HD, SDI? SDI simply stands for Serial Digital Interface, which is also a single BNC connection typically. You see that in professional cameras. Then there's also HDMI, which is very widely commonly used in more prosumer to consumer type cameras. The more inexpensive cameras usually have HDMI on them. So you need to know what kind of connection you're coming in on. My professional cameras, like the one you're viewing me on, uses SDI. And the next thing you need to know is the resolution. What resolution is the camera running in? Most consumer cameras will run in this one right here, that's 1920 by 1080. It has 1,920 pixels by 1,080 pixels. Some of the professional cameras will have very variable resolutions, and especially for very common in sports, they'll run at 1280 by 720, and which I typically shoot at. When I'm doing any kind of sports, I typically shoot this. And the reason being is I shoot at what's known as progressive. And the next thing you need to know, on the video format, you can leave that alone. Typically, the software figures that out. You don't have to go in there and touch it at all. If you were shooting 1920 by 1080, then you have to be aware of deinterlacing. You also have to be aware of your frame rate. This is a big gotcha right here, is the frame rate that you're working at, that your cameras are running at. Now, most cameras running at 1920 by 1080, they call 60 frames. Now, they really aren't 60 frames. It's what they call 60 frames, a drop frame. So really what they are, and they're also interlaced. That means the two fields, basically you have one field, another field, and they're interlaced together. I won't go into really detail about that. It's just, just be aware of what you really want to use is the 5994I. I stands for interlaced. That will be the most common one to use for anything in that is 1920 by 1080. And then beyond, and then down here you have a deinterlacing. That's a blend. You choose what kind of deinterlacing you're going to do. Most commonly, I just use a blend, and that'll blend the two fields together. And you'll notice that on some streams, when you see high action, you'll see basically lines on the edges, little jaggies. And that means that the video was not deinterlaced. Because anytime we're streaming video, we want it to be progressive. And progressive is like a bunch of still frames that are coming at you really fast at 30 frames per second. And the video looks a lot cleaner and sharper. So if I, for instance, if I was using the 1280 by 720, I would come down here, and that was, like I said, progressive. I wouldn't use 60p unless the camera was specifically set to 60p, which there are some out there that are. But majority of them, 99% of the time, is going to be 5994p, and that will be the proper setting for most cameras that are shooting 720. And in that case, because it's progressive, you would not have to do a blend. You would simply just select none. And after that, it's just a matter of clicking OK and bring your camera in. As long as you're aware of what your camera resolution is, the frame rate, whether it's interlaced or progressive, and the type of connection you're coming in on, you should be okay. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this information helpful. Have a great day.
Kick it.